Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. So, Star Trek Strange New Worlds will be upon us in scant days. And apparently, in the last day or so, the first two episodes of the series were screened for an audience in New York, I believe. So, between members of the public who went to see it and members of the press who went to the event, certain details have come out about these first two episodes. Some of them are spoilery, and I'm not going to get into them, although what I'm going to get into is kind of spoilery. But, you know, I guess if you don't want spoilers, this is where you get off. It's come out, according to IGN.com, that one of the characters that appears in either the premiere episode or the next episode is Robert April. Now, longtime Star Trek fans will recognize that name because it's the name that Roddenberry originally came up with for the captain of the Enterprise when he was creating Star Trek. He ended up not using it, and he went with Christopher Pike. Since that time, the character name has been made canon, at the very least, in an episode of Star Trek Discovery early in the second season, as his name appears on screen when Captain Pike's Starfleet bio from his official record shows up on screen. Here's where it gets interesting. The actor that they have playing Robert April in Strange New Worlds is Adrian Holmes. He's Canadian, and he appears in the Peacock show Bel Air, which is a new take on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. He plays Uncle Phil. He's great in the part. That show is great, by the way. But as you can see, he's black. Now, Robert April has shown up in various Star Trek projects over the years, even though he wasn't used in the original series. He showed up in the animated series, and that version of the character has been made into a character in the online game Star Trek Timelines. The character has also shown up in various novelizations or novels, Star Trek novels, and comic books. Now, generally speaking, Star Trek comic books are not considered canon. There is a Star Trek Into Darkness tie-in comic book, which is considered canon to the JJ universe. And in that comic book, he's white, but that's been established as a different universe from the universe of the original series. So there's no contradiction there, but I just thought I would note that the character appears in that as well. The animated series has been considered both canon and non-canon over the years, and I'm not really sure what it's considered to be now. There are some who say that Lower Decks has made the animated series canon because of something that was included in one of their episodes, and I forget exactly what that is. And if that's the case, then I would have to say that it's in canon at present. And beyond that, if you go to StarTrek.com, at least as of this taping, and you look in the database of ships and characters and, you know, planets and so forth, for Robert April, there's a listing for him, there's a character bio, and the picture that comes up is from the animated series. So StarTrek.com depicts Robert April as being a white man. So what are they doing over at Strange New Worlds? You know, it's crazy because I'm a guy who says they made Perry White black in Man of Steel. Good. Because if they hadn't, then everybody at the Daily Planet that had screen time and lines would have been white, and that's ridiculous. I'm somebody who says they made Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl black. Good. Because if they hadn't, everybody on that show would have been white and it would have looked stupid. I'm somebody who said they made Johnny Storm black in the Fantastic Four movie that nobody but me liked. Good. Why? Because if they hadn't done that, then the whole team would have been white and it would have looked stupid. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but go back and watch that show. The whole cast, which is comprised of kids from like an LA high school, it's Sunnydale, but it's supposed to be like LA, are all white. It looks absurd. I'm a guy who says MJ is a person of color, Flash is a person of color, and Ned is a person of color in the last 3 Spider-Man films. Good. Why? Because it would have looked ridiculous if they were all white. Go back and watch the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. Everybody's white. It looks ridiculous. They made Josie from Josie and the Pussycats black on Riverdale. Why? Because if they hadn't, everybody would have been white and would have looked ridiculous. It didn't look ridiculous in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever these comic books came out. Superman in the 30s, right? The Fantastic Four, I believe, is the 60s. You know, Riverdale might have been, you know, Archie comics might have been the 50s. I don't know exactly when it was, but it made sense that everybody was white then because Black people were second-class citizens and they weren't included in those things. But you can't make those properties in modern times and not include Black people because it just looks ridiculous. What high school friend group doesn't have a mix of, you know, people, Black, white, Asian, whatever? It's just insane. And to be fair, I think that Tyler Perry's movies look ridiculous. Everybody's Black. If the movie is about a college student, a Black college student, his coach is Black, his best friend is Black, his doctor is Black, his greengrocer is Black, you know, his mother's yoga instructor is Black. You know, the law firm that he interns at is headed by someone Black. That's not the real world. In most cases, nobody works around in a completely homogeneous society in the US. In China, they do. In Japan, they do. But in the US, I mean, there are enclaves, right? The upper crust of Beverly Hills is going to be a lot of white people. You know, there are Hispanic enclaves in the United States. There are Asian enclaves in the United States. But outside of that, in the general population in most of the United States, there's everybody, right? So Tyler Perry's movies look dumb. And any project made today with just white people would look dumb, just like Buffy looks dumb, just like the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire look dumb. It's dumb. But in this case, it's different because even though everybody's white in the Spider-Man comic book, the movies stand apart from the comic book. They're a different iteration. They take place in a different universe. The Fantastic Four movie takes place in a standalone universe from the comic books. Just like the X-Men movies take place in a different universe from the MCU, even though they're both Marvel properties, right? The Fantastic Four comic book is a Marvel property. Fantastic Four movie, the most recent one, is a Marvel property, whatever. But they're separate universes. But in this case, the property that is Star Trek, which encompasses, apparently, everything in Star Trek timelines, everything on Star Trek Online in the database, and seemingly the animated series, as well as now Strange New Worlds, are the same universe. So why did they cast this actor to play that part? Like, I think it's a mistake. Is it a big deal? No. Is it stupid? Yeah. Yep, and it's yet another symptom of how these people don't respect the canon. He's a great actor. I'm glad he's in Star Trek, but they shouldn't have, I mean, unless they're going to decanonize the animated series, which they've done before, they're going to change the biopic on StarTrek.com, which, you know, they can do that, I guess. But, like, what if they don't? You know, like, really? And what about timelines? I guess they'd have to decanonize that as well. But it's just, like, really? I don't get it. I don't get it.
And before anybody gets any weird ideas that, even though I've said everything I've said about how white casts look stupid, I'm somehow bigoted, you have to know that I would say the same thing if they had cast a white guy in this show to play Dr. Mbenga, because Dr. Mbenga is Black in the original series. And it would be stupid to cast him as white.
Anyway, it's still a few days away. You know, I hope it's good. I'm still hopeful that it's going to be good. A lot of positive reviews have come out, by the way, from this screening, but I just had to bring this up because the character appears all over the place in different iterations, non-canon and apparently canon. And he's always been white, and now it's a black character, which normally I would say is fine because you're going from one version of a property to another version of a property. But all of these things are under the same rainbow of the Star Trek continuity. Or are they? Because, you know, this could, for once and for all, solidify the fact that the Discovery verse doesn't take place in the same universe as the original series. That would actually make me happy, so maybe it's a good thing. Are they going to ever come out and say that that's the case? No, it's not going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward, how they square this circle, as it were. Anyway, that's really it. I just wanted to point out that this interesting development. As I said before, I'll be back, you know, in my title sequence video for Strange New Worlds. I will be back with a review of the premiere of Strange New Worlds once it's released on Paramount Plus. For now, I'm going to take my leave. Until then, I wish you peace and long life.